Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back. Brandon again. In today's video, I want to give you my first impressions of the Bearfoot Athletic Ursus shoes. I'm getting a lot of questions about these, so I wanted to go ahead and just talk about them in general. Again, this is going to be more of a first impressions. I say that because anytime I review something that you're going to wear, the big question comes up about longevity and how long it's going to hold up. So I'll probably have to do a follow-up review on that. But again, I've been getting enough questions on this where people just want to know how they are that I wanted to give you my first impressions of them. Now, I've worn them for a couple of sessions already, but I've worn them for all three main lifts, so bench, squat, and deadlift. And I have to say right off the bat, I like them a lot. Now, I was first turned on to these shoes because I follow Chris Doven. I like a lot of the stuff that they do at Kabuki Strength. And honestly, some of the videos that he's been doing about rooting your feet in and barefoot lifting have really helped me. You guys have probably noticed that in most of my squatting over the past couple of years, I've predominantly went from using Olympic heeled shoes to flat shoes. And one of the big reasons behind that is flat shoes, especially ones that are minimal, even slippers in that regard, allow me to feel better connected to the floor. So really trying to dig both my big toe, my pinky toe, and my heel into the ground has made me feel much more stable while squatting and connected to the ground. So my heels aren't lifting up as they used to. And also has helped me kept from having my knees cave in a lot. So I feel a lot better placed on the floor, better connected, which I think has really helped my squat overall. In fact, my heaviest squat ever was in flats, and I was able to squat 601 pounds. And those are using my previous all-time favorite shoe, which was the CrossFit Lite TR Lows, which I wish they made more of. As you guys know, those shoes have mostly been discontinued. They have been rebranded as the Reebok Power Shoe, I believe, which is released here and there. But the big problem with those shoes is they're high top only, which are good, but not as good as the low tops in my opinion. And they're also much more expensive, retailing for like $120 when they were first released at around $90. And they also tend to be the most ugly shoes ever. I don't understand their marketing behind it, but regardless, they sell out very quick. They're still very popular. So I was very interested to see these Ursus release, as when I took a look at them aesthetically, they looked exactly like my favorite pair of shoes, but they potentially offered a little bit better of a connection to the ground. So they're a little bit more minimal in the soles, in the construction, they're not as rigid. So I was really pumped to get these. So when they first announced them, I pre-ordered these back in November. I finally received them at the end of January, maybe early February. And I gotta say, so far, first impressions, very good with them. As I mentioned already, they're very low to the ground, so I feel really well connected in them. That's one of the big selling points. I have been wearing the notorious Lift slippers a lot as of late for the same reasons. And I've been getting a lot of questions in regards to how do these compare to them? And I gotta say, for the most part, they compare very favorably, meaning they're very similar in some regards in the feel to the floor. But where I think the Ursus might have a little bit of an upper leg is the fact that they are in fact shoes. So my big thing when people have asked me which one do I recommend, my question is always back to them. Do you prefer slippers or shoes? And depending on what your answer is, that's usually where I'll direct people. Now for the price on these things, they retail for $80, but there are discount codes available. And I believe at the time of this video, I should actually have one. At least I asked the company to let me give you one to you guys. That way they could at least know that I sent you if you do choose to purchase them. So you should be able to use the code BASEMENT. That saves you 10%. So normal retail price is $80, 10% off of that's going to knock it down to $72. And the shipping on these are actually really reasonable. In fact, it's a little bit weird because I think it cost $4 to ship these from where they're located to myself. So all in for me, it was still under $80, which I think is a good deal considering that when you take a look at the market at minimalist shoes, everything is super expensive, like well over $100 when you look at some of the Merrells and some of the other funky named ones that you can crumble up into a ball. And these ones are actually really high build quality too, which again, I was a little bit surprised about given the price point compared to what else is on the market. There's genuine leather in here. They feel really comfortable. Right now, they're only available in this all kind of stealth black colorway, which I actually like and prefer. I don't like a lot of flare on my shoes because it doesn't match what else you're wearing. But the laces on these are really high quality, which I can't say for the Reebok shoes before. In fact, most people that have had the Reebok shoes know that they either break or you replace them right away. And they also tend to be super, super long. These ones tend to be really good. The soles on these are also really good. They're super grippy. That's one of the big questions I've been getting, especially from people that pull sumo. You know, how do they work when you're externally rotating? And I got to see that they have a lot of support there on the sides of your feet. And I feel like these grip really well, especially when I'm deadlifting on wood, which tends to be a little bit more slick than, let's say, stall mats, which is where I squat on. So they grip really well. They feel really well on the foot. But I have to give you a couple of negatives on these, which I want to do just first impressions. For me, I'm not sure if I just didn't size right. And part of that might be my fault, only because they do offer an interactive sizing guide, which basically equates to you printing out the size that you think you need. And it shows your foot on a piece of paper and you step on the piece of paper and it basically confirms if that's the right size or not. When I ordered these, I was actually on an airplane on my way home from Seattle, but I wanted to pre-order to make sure I got some. So I just ordered the normal size shoe that I wore, which is 12 and a half, which is nice because not a lot of shoes come in 12 and a half. It's like 12 and then they go right to 13. I find like these are just a little bit big, I think, and I say that because on where the heel is, it tends to be a little bit of an overhang. So when wearing these, I feel like my back heel is a little bit off. So I don't know if it's too big or maybe I need to wear a second pair of socks, or maybe that just the way that these are so minimal, maybe they could just expand the back of the actual sole to kind of cover that one spot. That's one of the only negatives I have. The only other real negative I have is the insole. It's a nice insole, but what I will say is for a lot of these minimalist shoes or even my CrossFit Lite TRs or even my Notorious Lift slippers, a lot of times some people like to take out the inserts for the soles to get even closer to the ground. Now you can do that with these shoes, or at least I'm assuming, but it looks like this one is glued in, so you'd have to rip it out. So it's not technically easily removable, but it is removable. But that would be a negative just because I think it would be cool to get even closer to the ground. So all that would be between you and the floor is just this very thin strip of rubber. But that being said, otherwise, very happy with these shoes so far. I like them a lot. If you're on the fence and you want a shoe that's great for powerlifting, keyword there is a shoe, something that's going to let you get really close to the floor, give you good support, give you really good grip, and not break the bank compared to what else is out there. I think you'd be remiss not to give these a shot given their price point, their build quality, and some of the other things that they're doing. So again, if you're interested, I believe you can use the code BASEMENT for 10%. One of the things I will say though is these have been so popular since they've been released that they're generally out of stock and accept all but 2 sizes right now at the time of this video. Sorry. I think they might open up pre-orders again soon, but they said they'll definitely have more stock in March. So the time of this filming, probably need to wait a couple of weeks. But if you're on the fence about these, I would highly recommend them. I'll probably do another follow-up video after I've used them a little bit more and compare them directly to the Notorious Lift slippers that I have, which I also like a lot. But again, it really comes down to how much you want to spend. And do you want slippers or shoes? But I really don't think you can go wrong with these if you're looking for a solid pair of shoes for powerlifting that can be worn for all 3 lifts and really let you feel connected to the ground. So hopefully that helps. If you have other questions, leave them in the comment section below. But in the meantime, as always, thanks for watching and stay big.